floodplain forests or alluvial forests or riparian forests used to be a major habitat worldwide. The Amazon has lots of flooded forests, but in many areas this habitat is disappearing and becoming very scarce. So in Europe we have the Danube Delta where there's still some remaining. In Britain it's very scarce. So there used to be extensive forests along the Severn and the Trent and the Dee and the Thames, but that's largely disappeared, and now we just have a thin line of forest along some elements of it. There's some lines of alder along the side of the river, say. So here to talk about this, we're at West Acre and with Fraser Bradbury. So Fraser, tell me, these habitats are often caused by the water levels either running over the riverbanks or by the groundwater rising up. So what's happened here?
So here, Bill, I think what we've got is the river hasn't actually broken its banks so much as the water has come up through the ground as the aquifers have filled. So what we might call the Norfolk Hills, we're about 10 metres above sea level at the moment, so we don't get too high. The water will come down through those, and when those aquifers are saturated and the groundwater table is moved up, we start to see the woodland flood. And that can take most of the winter and then into the spring. The chalk streams are very slow flowing. There's not a lot of energy in them, so they will. This will sit in the floodplain for quite some time and gradually work its way down into the river.
And you showed me fantastic footage of the sort of water moving actually quite fast,
Yep.
and it can be quite spectacular.
Yep.
So let's think about the main species that you get in this habitat. The main classic flooded forest species is the willow, and you can see here there's lots of willow here, and this is heavily adapted to growing in very wet conditions. So amongst other things, it has very flexible twigs. This is used for making baskets, and that means that if when this is flooded and branches go through and hit it, it's not going to break. It has lenticels, which means that if you look at the branches, you can see these horizontal lines, and they're used for breathing. It has aerenchyma, so aerenchyma air spaces. So at the base of these trees, there will be air spaces so that the air can come in and go down into the roots and still provide oxygen for this plant under these difficult conditions. So willow is the classic species, and it's an early successional stage species, and it'll grow from almost any bit. You can see here this is sort of largely broken off, but here there are twigs growing. You can see there's new growth coming up from this sort of dying wood. And so if you get a bit of willow broken off, so crack willow particularly cracks and breaks off, it will then float away and then get stuck in some mud and then regrow. So it's very much an opportunistic species. The other classic species you get in this habitat is the alder, been recognised by the alder buds, alder cones here, and the purple buds it has. And alder is extremely tolerant of poor wet conditions. So it has nitrogen fixing bacteria in the roots, so it can grow into poor conditions. It has similarly the aerenchyma we're talking about. It similarly has lenticels. You can see the beautiful lenticels here, so that it can take oxygen in. Root collar very often swells up to provide greater stability. So this is the species that tends to dominate in long-lived flooded forests. And then there might be other species, so black poplar will be another classic species, but it's now largely disappeared. So why is this habitat so interesting ecologically?
Well, it's a unique habitat, and particularly if we look at this part of East Anglia, where we're in a very dry, arid region, 600 mil of rainfall a year, and in this habitat we've got something completely different. It's a lovely wet habitat. There's plenty of species that are adapted to it. So when we're looking for bryophytes, if we look on the alder here, and lichens, for example, we've got a variety. But also we've got other species that we use this. So rare birds now in the UK, such as willow tit. Again, a small bird that lives within these thickets and uses the deadwood habitat and the wet woodlands. Things like lesser spot woodpecker as well, and hopefully, we never know, things like black stork may
the classic habitat
to the UK. Yeah,
go to Latvia, and that's where you see them.
And Germany as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
So this is the perfect habitat for them, and of course things like red deer. So as we look through, we can see all sorts of bark stripping that's gone on in here with red deer. It's a perfect red deer habitat.
And then this is threatened from a number of different sources. So historically there used to be these large floodplain forests alongside the main rivers, but quite early on these were cleared because these were prime land for meadow, for raising animals, for raising hay, and so that area largely disappeared. And then as the riverbanks were built up, the floodplains would be less connected to the rivers, and so they wouldn't flood, so there wasn't that opportunity. And then the groundwater would go down too because of abstraction for agriculture, for gravel pits, for a whole host of different reasons. And also this became a prime area for urban development as well. So what are the challenges here at West Acre?
I mean, today the challenges are still, some of those challenges are still here. We have this lovely wet woodland is actually well drained, and so retaining the water within this woodland is a real challenge throughout the drier periods of the summer. Added to that, we have the need to irrigate. As I said, it's 600 mil a year, very arid, very light soils, and we're growing a range of arable crops here. So we need to irrigate those in the summer. So this time of year, once we get to a certain level in the rivers, then abstraction will take place to fill the reservoirs. So that's a real challenge as well. And I think finally the one that really strikes me is eutrophication. So that agricultural runoff, again, into the water tables lifting up, it's bringing down the nutrients into this area. So again, enrichment into this environment is probably a real threat that we can see here.
And it seems we haven't really recognised the importance of this habitat. You almost never hear people in Britain talking about it.
No.
But there's more interest in this. So I guess what we need to do is to increase people's awareness of this habitat, but also ensure we can do things like connect the rivers to the land, and find ways of recreating these habitats. And you're interested in doing some of this, aren't you? Here?
We are, yes. I mean, we're looking at blocking some of the ditches for a start, some small things such as blocking the ditches, but we're looking to try to reconnect this habitat to the floodplain, so the river's back into the floodplain. And we're looking at that through the landscape recovery projects and through nature recovery projects with large groups of landowners. So hopefully we'll start to see some difference that'll come along. But I think to enjoy these habitats, you've got to get wet.
Which we certainly have done today, over my wellies. So I'm looking forward to coming back and seeing your black storks.
Look forward to seeing you again. Yep.